Hi, this is Boomer Dan's dad. I died on December 27th, 2019. Last week, my son Boomer Dan brought me back from the dead by uploading me into his computer because he wanted me to do the voiceover for this episode of What the Fudge Friday.
Yes, it is. It's Friday, and this is What the Fudge Friday. What the fudge?
Oh, fudge.
Friday. What the Fudge Friday. So today for my What the Fudge video, I wanted to show you this really cool AI thing that came out. So I'm really into video editing. I used to be a video editor for the studios, like creating, editing trailers and sizzle reels and whatnot for like Warner Brothers, Sony Pictures and all that. And while I don't do that anymore, I still really love to edit. And my boy's really into editing as well. So anyway, here's a cool tool that you can actually use to create really super realistic, lifelike voiceovers. And I'll show you what I mean. It's called 11 Labs.io, and they have a bunch of preset voices loaded already. Like you can see, you can listen to a couple of these. Let's see what Bill sounds like.
Be here now. Be someplace else later. Is that so complicated?
Okay, let's see what, oh look, here's Santa Claus.
Courage is not the absence of fear, but simply moving on with dignity despite that fear.
Adam.
Allow the world to live as it chooses, and allow yourself to live as you choose.
So a lot of people are using Adam. You can hear that all over the place now, like on YouTube and commercials and whatnot. Adam is a very popular one. Let's see what Arnold sounds like.
What worries you masters you.
Let's listen to a lady. Let's see what Emily.
Never mistake motion for action.
Okay.
A man sees in the world what he carries in his heart.
So anyway, so they have all these preset voices you can use to create voiceovers, and you just basically type in here what you want them to say. Like I'll say, I hope sound like a real person reading this. So you could just like write anything you want. You have one of these voices say it. Let me write a little bit more. I hope you sound like a real person reading this. What do you think? ? Come on, baby. Give me some props here. So you just write what you want. You select a voice. You choose a voice. So let's say let's have Adam, since he's so popular. So we'll have Adam say it, and then you just come down here and you say generate. So it's generating Adam. Adam's getting ready.
I hope I sound like a real person reading this. What do you think? Come, baby. Give me some props here.
Oh, I forgot to say come on, baby. That's pretty good though, right? Come on, baby. And look how quick that was. A few minutes, I could have some guy say whatever I want him to say, like a voiceover actor. So let's regenerate this. Generate.
I hope I sound like a real person reading this. What do you think? Come on, baby. Give me some props here.
That's pretty good. And you can go in here and you can tweak it. So it sounded kind of weird there at the beginning. So you can come in here to like voice settings and you can like play around with these levels and whatnot, get it to sound as real as you possibly can. But that's not the cool part. I mean, that is cool, of course. But what's really cool is that you can put your own voice in here. You can record like a sample of your own voice, and it will digitize it, and it'll sample it, and you can have yourself say anything you want, which is great for voiceovers. Like say I was doing a video where I was doing some voiceover, and while I'm editing it, I forgot to put a word in there, or I made a mistake on some word. I could just go in and have this thing here. I could just say, choose Dan. I could select my own voice, and I could say I could put in whatever word I messed up, and then generate it. And you could just kind of fill in that little spot where you made a mistake. But what's also even cooler than that is that you can sample other people's voices. So my dad died on December 27th, 2019. But anyway, so I have some video of him here. This is him reading some of his poetry. He had a bunch of poetry. He wrote a poetry book, and he had a bunch of poems that. And one Christmas we got him to recite these. This is like about a year or two before he passed away. And so we recorded him reading his poetry on camera. And then that was like 4 or 5 years ago. Then he passed away. And then just last week I found those videos and I put them into this program. I uploaded them in and basically sampled his voice. So now he can say whatever I want him to say. And before you think this might be disrespectful or awful, if you knew my dad, he would love this. He would be 1,000% on board with this. He loved this kind of thing, and he would be sitting there just laughing, telling me what to write in there. So this isn't disrespectful to him at all. He would totally love this. And my mom, his wife, totally agreed. So let's say Pappy 2. Pappy, that's what my kids call them, Pappy. And we can have him say, let's see, what should we have my dad say? From beyond, from the grave. And then we'll generate that. Here he goes. Here comes Pappy.
Boomer Dan is my favorite son out of all my children. He's absolutely the coolest of the bunch.
And if you knew my dad, that sounds just like him. It sounded a little robotic there at the beginning. This sentence here sounded really good. This one sounded a little robotic, but the voice is exactly my dad. That's him. So then we can come up in here and we can kind of tweak it to try to fix that. And I forget exactly what to do with these. Let's just kind of move these around and see what happens. Let's move that up to there. Try it again.
Boomer Dan's my favorite son out of all my children. He is absolutely the coolest of the bunch.
That's him. And thanks, Dad. Appreciate that. I'm going to show it to all my siblings here at Christmas. Here, let me try one more time and see if I can get that a little better. Let's see what happens if we come down. No, that's unstable. Let's go up here to stable. You just got to kind of mess around with these things, like move these things around and try to tune it in to exactly what you want. Let's try this one.
Boomer Dan is my favorite son out of all my children. He is absolutely the coolest of the bunch.
They're pretty good. So I can continue to play around with this. I'm not going to take the time right now. I got just too much going on today. But check this out. This is really cool. It's free. I think they give a free sample, and then it's like a cheap monthly subscription, like $5 a month or something. But it's pretty amazing, huh? What this AI thing is doing. So before we go on to my trading stuff, let's have my dad say one more thing, which will be,
I will see you later from AI Land.
Okay, Pappy. We'll see you later. All right, so now let's get into our trading stuff for today. All right, so today's trading was one of those Toad Fry Friday. There was some pretty good action in the morning, some back and forth, but then like about mid-morning till the end, you can see here, just look at this chart. Let's just kind of zoom in here. And you can see how, like, where's the beginning of the day at? So the day started back here, and you can see like right in here, it just kind of got real bullish, kind of relentless to the upside. That's the fry to the upside. And you can see how it just kind of got way out towards the outer sides of the bands, and it stayed up there. So our new Tim adjustment helped us there, keep us out of all that move up. Then it came back down and just steadied out and went flat pretty much for the rest of the day. So with the new Tim adjustment, we avoided most of this pain here, this relentless move to the upside. Then you can see it came back down here and just kind of leveled out. And I've seen several days like this recently, more than several actually, quite a few, where there's just kind of a fry to the upside, a slow grind that just kind of relentless keeps going up like this, and then just kind of flattens out and just stays like in a flat line. So when that happens, we already know how to deal with this this relentless up move. But once we can identify that it's just kind of a flat line for the rest of the day, there's no more real opportunity for the Vince trade. One of the things I did today was just kind of did a counter trade, which I'm going to do a whole video on. I've used it in other circumstances. I've used it with credit spreads, like when credit spreads are giving me heat. And I'm calling this one the Clint Eastwood trade, or more the Make My Day. Remember that movie clip he did where go ahead jerk, or what did he say? Go ahead something. I can't remember what he said. Make my day. Go ahead, sucker. That's crazy. I can't remember what he said. But anyway, I'll find a clip and I'll stick it in here.
Go ahead. Make my day.
So what it is basically it's a Make My Day trade, which is basically a trade that I've used with credit spreads before in the past when they give me some heat, or they're like, they're moving towards me. I mean, all traders can relate to the scenario where you put a trade on and it seems as if the market knows exactly where your positions are and where the pain point is in your position, and it just moves there and it just kind of hangs out there and just gets closer and closer and closer, just kind of antagonizing you. I think that's probably a scenario that most traders, if not all traders, can relate to. So a little while back, I had that happen with credit spreads occasionally, where I put a credit spread on, like say to the upside, and of course the market, as soon as I put on the market, moves up and starts to threaten it. It gets closer and closer, and I'm getting heat from it. So what I started to do was I just put on this sort of like a half psychological trick and a half profitable money-making trick. And it's like we just put a butterfly, like a 1-day butterfly or a 0-day butterfly, the options that expire the same day. You put a butterfly on right, either before, right over it, right at the same strike, or just beyond it. Like for example, say we had an XPX credit spread on, we could find a 0-day option. We could make the triangle, the top of that butterfly, right at the strike where we're threatened, or a little bit in front of it, or a little bit after it. And you're just sort of saying, okay, Mr. Market, fine. Oh, you want to do this? You're going to sit here and like move towards my strike as soon as I put it on? Okay, so how about this? Make my day. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Make my day.
And you put this butterfly on there, and it'll either back off. The market will see it and get scared and back off. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, the market doesn't have any idea what you're doing, but it sure seems like that. But regardless, the market will keep coming up towards it. You're making money on this butterfly, and the way that you can structure these zero-day butterflies, you can have like super small risk to huge reward. So you're almost hoping that the thing will move up there to like the short strike of your credit spread, because your credit spread is probably a few days out or a week out or a month out, however long out. They aren't options that expire that same day, but this SPX butterfly that you put on as a go ahead sucker, make my day trade, that expires the same day. And if you can position that right, you can let that thing just move right up into that tent, and you can make like a huge profit on those butterflies, because again, it's a zero-day butterfly. The risk is really super small. The reward is huge. And even if it comes up to the strike, it's very possible to make more money on that butterfly than the loss you would make on that credit spread. And you could keep doing that day after day, over and over again. You could even use that as a hedge to put on at the very beginning of a credit spread. So you place, say you place like a 2-week out credit spread, call credit spread up, and you immediately put a butterfly, like an out-of-the-money butterfly with a short strike right around that short strike of the credit spread. Then the credit that you bring in from the credit spread can totally cover the cost of that butterfly. So you've paid for that protection, and you still make profit with plenty of credit left over for profit. So you're now in a position where you really don't care what happens, where you really, really don't care what happens. If it goes down, you're going to make money on the credit spread. If it stays right where it's at, you're going to make money on the credit spread. If it moves up, you could make a fortune on that butterfly that's like positioned right on top of that credit spread. And you could do that day after day and potentially even milk those butterflies every day for several days in a row. And if the market moves back down, then you get the money from the credit spread as well. So it's a really cool kind of a counter trade, or I'm calling it make my day trade. So that's essentially what I did today. Once we got into this zone here, and they're totally different strategies. So this is the Vince trade, which is a micros day trading strategy. But once you get in here and you just kind of like, it becomes apparent that it's just a sideways movement. It's just going to sit there and go sideways. If you're in a position, you could hold on there without seeing too much heat after this move up in this flat area. You could sit there and wait for it to make a move up or down, or you could just be totally out of the trade. But once you identify this sideways action, you could throw in a butterfly with the same idea as that counter butterfly trade. So that's what I used today when I saw this come in here, and we've seen the numerous days like this over the last couple of weeks, where it just kind of hovers up here and just kind of slowly grinds up or just goes sideways. So identifying that grind sideways, if you look at the chart real quick, let's look at the chart of the SPX. You can see that we're up here. It's a Friday, and we're really super close to 40. We're basically at 4,600, which is also a potentially a double top here. That's kind of interesting. But so we're up here at 4,600, and as you probably know, a lot of times stocks or indexes will gravitate, move like a magnet towards big round numbers like 1,600, and they'll kind of expire at those numbers. So basically what we did, we just set up a butterfly. This is the butterfly after it was closed. This is on the SPX, and we set it up here. This was midday. This was right after I identified this kind of sideways motion, probably about right in here, I would imagine. I just said, okay, make my day, sucker. And so then I put on this butterfly. And, at that point, it's really interesting because a really weird sort of cool feeling, because you're sitting there watching a position on this move sideways. But as soon as you put on this trade, this butterfly trade, and this butterfly trade was put on, so that butterfly profit area covered the entire area from about 480-ish. That's where the profit starts, to 4,600. 480, it's like a 20-point area there. But if it just sits in this tent area, in this 20-point area on the chart, you can make up to, $700 here. So the Vince trade was just sort of sitting there, just moving sideways, doing nothing. Everywhere from about this area here, if it would have wound up trading anywhere in about this area here, and if it just sat there and continued to do that all day, this thing would just start to make money, from the theta decay in the last day of the options. These are Friday options, so these were expiring today. That hump will just continue to rise, and so that band area is right in here. So let me zoom in here. So just using these lines here as guides, let's just say that the band here. The band here on here. See how it's just kind of staying in this range? Since that pink, it's just in that range there, that pink line and a little bit into the white. So that range there, it won't be exactly, but it could be something like, that range may be like something like this. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, go ahead, sucker. make my day.
Go ahead. Make my day.
And the Vince trade just keeps trading that little tiny narrow range sideways all day. But meanwhile, this trade, the go ahead sucker make my day trade, is generating profits from the theta decay as that hump gets wider and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's exactly what happened today when I put this trade on. So let me go and find those real quick. So here's an example of the butterfly I put on, and this was a real money trade I put on today. Looks like it was right right after I put it on. So this is the same trade that we just looked at, except this is earlier in the day, a screenshot that I took, and you can see the pink line is the 0-day line. And these were options that expired today. So this probably had about like 3 or 4 hours left in them. And you'll see this thing grow. This hump will grow as the time progresses towards the close of the market. And essentially this pink line is going to turn into this blue line by the end of the day. And so here's right after I put the thing on. And then let's just go look at a screenshot of me taking the thing off. So it looks like I don't have a screenshot of right when I took it off. I took it off right after it hit $100 in profit. So I milked $100 out of this butterfly, and then I had to go run errands and take my daughter to the doctor's. And so I had to just close everything down. But I left this thing on. I left this model of the trade on just so I could see what happens when I got back. And so this is at around right towards the very end of the day. And again, this trade was already taken off, and it was on for an hour or two. And then once it hit $100 in profit, this pink line just kind of kept raising up as the S&P just stayed kind of stagnant in this area. That pink line kind of came up there. Once it hit $100 in profit, I took it off. So I booked $100, but I kept the model of the trade on because I wanted to see what would happen if this thing hit 40, if it closed at 4,600, if it pinned. And a lot of times they'll pin at these big numbers. 4,600 would have been a perfect place for this thing to pin, which is also why I had the confidence to put this trade on. So 4,600 is right there. So at the end of the day, here we are. This is with about 10 minutes left. You can see that it is getting really close. It's at 45.90, so it stayed in that range. And right here, this is showing a profit of 350. So had I not had to go run errands and I stayed here and I just kind of babysat this trade, I may have been able to get 350. I probably would have taken it off before that because this line here, this pink line, starts to get really weird and jumpy, and it won't really come up till the last like 10 minutes or so. And you can see how steep it is on the sides. That's the gamma. So I always want to take my profits a little bit earlier, but I have had some where I just let run through, and I had one actually pin right at the thing, and that was like hitting the jackpot. But so anyway, this trade, you can see it's at 350 here, and it just kind of kept going up. Let's see where the S&P closed for the day at today. So it closed at 45.94. So I would say that pinned at 45.95 right there. Now, the other thing to think about too is that this is SPX, so it's cash settled. So you don't have to worry about being assigned anything. So I could have just let this thing, if I didn't care about risking $250 and just let it go, I could have just let the thing run and just walk away and come back later. And I just would have been cashed out at wherever it landed. And it would have landed right here, which is about 188. So this would have been a profitable trade up to 188 had I just done nothing, walked away and let it get cash settled. But anyway, I just wanted to show this concept here of the go ahead, sucka, make my day trade, where we can put these on to counteract heat that we may get from credit spreads or from just inactivity like what we're seeing here. We do have that TIM adjustment now that we use to keep us out from just getting completely run over to the upside. But there have been those slow burn days where it just kind of slowly creeps up, slowly, like you're frying a toad. And with those, we just need to be able to identify them and, maybe not stay in them as long. Once we do identify them, not stay in them as long, or potentially counteract them with these type of go ahead, sucker, make my day trade. So even though we may be slowly losing on those creeping up movements on the Vince trade, with this make my day trade, if it stays within this range, if you build this range wide enough to encompass that range that the other trade is kind of stuck in, you can counteract those small losses that you're getting on the Vince trade and potentially make a huge profit, like a windfall on these, or at least some sort of profit, or at the very least try to break even. Anyway, that's it for today. It's What the Fudge Friday. And, I have a couple of new concepts with this Vince trade that I'm putting together, and I'll probably be making a video for that next week. And if you're one of our members, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to share it with you and just kind of show you what I'm finding that works. And if you're not a member of the room, just email me and say, how can I learn the Vince trade? And I'll show you how you can get in there with the rest of us. So to follow along with me on these trades, just make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel below. Just hit that subscribe button and join me on my website. Just go to my website, sign up for my free newsletter. Once you sign up for my free newsletter, you'll get a welcome email from me. Just reply back to that welcome email and say, how can I learn the Vince trade? And then I'll get right back to you with the details. All right, so that's it for today. Hope you have a great weekend. And let's just have my good old dad take us out.
Okay, suckers. Go ahead, make my day. And we'll see you next time.